Someone is studying you right now, not because they admire you, because they're searching for the exact sentence that makes you lose control. One insult, one sarcastic remark, one public humiliation, one carefully timed criticism. That's all it takes to expose the crack in your armor. The frightening part? Most people never realize they're being tested. Every emotional reaction becomes intelligence. Every defensive explanation becomes ammunition. Every angry reply tells manipulative people exactly where to strike next. Marcus Aurelius understood something few people ever do. The strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one whose mind cannot be entered without permission. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 7 Stoic responses that don't just end arguments. They make manipulators realize they've chosen the wrong target. But the final response, the one almost nobody has the discipline to use, is the response that makes you psychologically untouchable. The modern world teaches you to defend yourself. The Stoics taught something far more dangerous. Don't defend your ego. Control your mind. More than 2,000 years ago, Epictetus, once a slave whose own master broke his leg to prove dominance, wrote a sentence that still terrifies insecure people today. People are disturbed not by events, but by the meaning they attach to them. Read that again. Not by events, by interpretation. That changes everything. An insult has no power. A lie has no power. Disrespect has no power, until your mind agrees to carry it. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth. Every day he faced betrayal, political attacks, false accusations, men trying to destroy his reputation. Yet in his private journal he reminded himself of one truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Notice what he didn't write. He didn't promise people would respect you. He didn't promise life would be fair. He promised something infinitely more valuable. No one can invade a mind that refuses to surrender itself. And that's why most people lose long before the conversation even begins. Because they confuse protecting their pride with protecting their peace. The Stoics never fought for pride. They fought for inner sovereignty. Here's what modern psychology now confirms. Manipulation is rarely about changing your opinion. It's about controlling your emotional state. A narcissist doesn't always want to convince you. They want you emotional. An insecure coworker doesn't always want to prove you're wrong. They want to see you explain yourself. A toxic partner isn't always searching for truth. They're searching for leverage. This is called a reaction trap. They throw a small emotional hook into your mind. Then wait. If you defend yourself, they escalate. If you become angry, they've already won. If you over-explain, they've discovered your insecurity. Every emotional reaction gives them data. Psychologists call this emotional reinforcement. The more you react, the more they learn exactly how to control you. Marcus Aurelius would have recognized this immediately. He understood that people ruled by impulse become predictable, and predictable people are easy to manipulate. Think about the calmest person you've ever met. People eventually stop provoking them. What? Because nothing comes back. No drama. No emotional fuel. No entertainment. Manipulators abandon empty wells. The Stoics understood this centuries before psychology gave it a name. They knew emotional discipline isn't passive. It's invisible power. And that brings us to the first response. One sentence that instantly removes your ego from the battlefield. 3 words. Most people hear weakness. The Stoic hears freedom. When someone attacks your opinion, they expect resistance. Resistance creates conflict. Conflict creates emotion. Emotion creates mistakes. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if someone could prove him wrong, he would gladly change his mind. Imagine the confidence required to say that as Emperor of Rome. Only insecure people need to appear correct. Secure people need only discover what's true. When someone criticizes you, calmly reply, "I may be wrong." Then stop talking. Watch what happens. Most aggressors don't know what to do next. They prepared for a fight. You offered curiosity. You removed the target. And without a target, their attack collapses. Real confidence isn't refusing correction. It's knowing correction cannot diminish your value. Silence terrifies people who expected noise. Most conversations aren't exchanges of ideas. They're exchanges of emotional energy. Someone insults you. They expect outrage. Someone mocks you. They expect defense. Someone provokes you. They expect participation. Silence denies all three. But this isn't wounded silence. Not passive-aggressive silence. Not avoidance. This is deliberate observation. You look, you assess, you decide. This moment isn't worthy of your peace. Seneca warned against wasting your life arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. Because every unnecessary response costs something. Your attention, your composure, your energy. Silence says one thing louder than any comeback ever could. You no longer qualify for my attention. And there is no greater insult to an attention seeker than becoming invisible. Most people argue because they believe every opinion is a threat. The Stoic understands something different. Not every opinion deserves a battle. Sometimes it deserves nothing more than acknowledgement. When someone says something designed to provoke you, don't rush to agree. Don't rush to disagree. Simply say, "That's an interesting perspective." Then pause. This sentence is powerful because it refuses the trap. You're not validating their argument. You're not rejecting it either. You're simply recognizing that it exists. And that's enough. Epictetus taught that between what happens and how we respond lies the only place where freedom exists. Most people never reach that place. They hear criticism and react automatically. The Stoic interrupts that chain. Instead of emotion, he chooses observation. This response quietly communicates something most manipulators cannot stand. I heard you, but I don't feel obligated to adopt your reality. That calm uncertainty frustrates people who came looking for conflict. Because conflict requires two willing participants, and you've politely declined the invitation. Speed is the language of emotion. Deliberation is the language of wisdom. Look around today. Everyone feels pressured to respond immediately. Texts, emails, arguments, social media. If you don't answer instantly, people assume you've lost. The Stoics believe the opposite. They believed haste is where reason dies. Seneca reviewed every single day before sleeping. He believed time exposes mistakes that emotion tries to hide. That's why one of the strongest responses you can ever give is, "Let me think about that." Simple, calm, controlled. Notice what happens. The conversation immediately slows down. Emotion loses momentum. Pressure disappears. And for the first time, reason enters the room. This response also sends a subtle psychological message. I don't make decisions under emotional pressure. Manipulators hate that, because pressure is their greatest weapon. If they can't rush you, they can't control you. Marcus Aurelius never confused quick decisions with wise decisions. He understood that patience isn't hesitation, it's discipline. The strongest minds don't fear silence. They use it to think. And that's exactly what this response creates. Space. Because space is where wisdom lives. This is where most egos collapse. Not because the words are difficult, because pride refuses to say them. Think about how most arguments begin. Two people trying to protect an identity. Nobody is listening. Everyone is defending. The Stoics rejected that completely. For them, truth mattered more than victory. Winning an argument while remaining wrong wasn't success. It was failure wearing a disguise. So when someone challenges you, calmly say, "You might be right." Not sarcastically, not as a trick. Mean it, because maybe they are. And if they aren't, you've still gained something priceless. Because people expecting resistance suddenly lose their momentum. They prepared for conflict. Instead, they found humility. Real confidence doesn't need to dominate conversations. It simply remains open to reality. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, believed the wise person seeks truth, not applause. Remember that. The loudest person isn't always the strongest. Sometimes they're simply the most afraid of being wrong. This sentence is rarely spoken out loud. It's spoken inside your own mind. And that makes it the most powerful response of all. Imagine someone insults you in front of everyone. Your heart races. Your face grows warm. Your mind screams, "Say something." Most people obey that voice. The Stoic questions it. Before speaking, ask yourself one question. Does this actually deserve my energy? Not every insult deserves justice. Not every criticism deserves explanation. Not every disrespect deserves retaliation. Some people throw stones simply because they're hoping you'll throw one back. Don't. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that other people's actions belonged to them. His reactions belonged to him. That distinction changes everything. Every time you refuse an unnecessary reaction, you strengthen your mind. Every time you chase every insult, you weaken it. Freedom isn't saying whatever you feel. Freedom is choosing what deserves your attention, and very little actually does. This is the response almost nobody can master, because it demands something greater than confidence. It demands ego death. Marcus Aurelius filled the opening pages of Meditations with gratitude, not for comfort, not for praise, but for correction, for teachers, for difficult people, for experiences that forced him to become stronger. Most people hate criticism. The Stoic searches it for truth. That doesn't mean every critic is right. Far from it. Some people criticize because they're jealous, some because they're insecure, some because they simply enjoy causing pain. But even bad criticism contains information. It tells you how you're perceived. It reveals blind spots. It exposes patterns you may never have noticed. So when criticism contains even a fragment of truth, say, "Thank you for telling me." Then leave your ego out of the conversation. Because growth begins the moment self-defense ends. This is what amor fati truly means. Not loving comfort. Loving whatever life uses to make you stronger. Including difficult people. Especially difficult people. Because your enemies often become your greatest teachers. Remember the question from the beginning. What makes someone impossible to manipulate? It's not intelligence. It's not confidence. It's not having the perfect comeback. It's something much rarer. Emotional independence. The manipulator loses the moment your emotions stop being available for purchase. The narcissist loses the moment your attention is no longer guaranteed. The bully loses the moment your peace becomes more valuable than proving them wrong. These 7 responses aren't clever lines. They're evidence of a disciplined mind. A mind that no longer reacts automatically. A mind that refuses to become another person's emotional puppet. Tomorrow someone will test you. Maybe intentionally. Maybe without realizing it. When that moment comes, don't ask yourself, "What should I say?" Ask something far more powerful. What kind of person do I become if I refuse to lose control? Because every insult is an invitation. Every provocation is an examination. Every moment of disrespect asks the same question. Who controls your mind? The day the answer becomes, "Only me," is the day no one can ever silence you again.